Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and let's build an awesome lead magnet using Canva. Timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos that takes a deeper dive into some other things you can build inside Canva. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into my screen. So if you're using the free plan or the paid plan, this is going to work. I'll point out the differences in what you can do with the paid versus the free plan. Now, of course, when you first log into Canva, you'll be looking at all of your designs, and I recommend going straight to the search box and looking for report, if I can spell report correctly here, and then clicking on that. And these are the templates that I like looking at when creating lead magnets. Obviously, Canva has a ton of different templates, but when it comes to just creating a quick lead magnet to grow your email list or send out to current email subscribers, these are the templates that I like using. And if your lead magnet's a template or a worksheet, you can also type in templates or worksheets, and you can find lots of designs, as you can see here, that have fill in the blanks. So to save us some time, not some, actually, save us a lot of time, I've actually gone ahead and actually already designed a lead magnet with our team here. So what we'll do is we'll go approximately page by page, building this out from scratch. So you can kind of see what we're going for, and now we can go through all of the different elements. So of course, the first part is going to be your cover page. This is probably going to be the part where you take the longest. Again, timestamps below if you want to skip around. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add new page here, bring this up, and we will start from complete scratch. So obviously you have a lot of templates, and of course you can click through lots of them, play with them. Here, I'm just going to 80-20 the process and build out this one from scratch, just so you can see lots of the different effects. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up here and change the background color. We're going to have this bright orange. Now, obviously, it'd be really hard to read text if it was just orange. So next, we're going to come over here to elements, and I'm going to select this blue element here. And of course, feel free to blatantly copy this design. It's not like I have copyright on anything that we're talking about here. So let's go ahead and scroll down to choose our image. There it is. And we will click and drag. And because I've already preloaded some of our brand colors, it is automatically choosing a blue. I'm going to change the blue a little bit here. And actually, we'll just make it flush and bring it on down and bring the top down a little bit here. We'll speed ahead till when I'm done. And just like that, we have copied a little bit of what we're going for here. So the next thing we can do is, of course, change the colors. You can change the color to whatever you see fit. I'll go ahead and choose this nice dark blue. And then we will go ahead and take the square, we're going to turn this into a rectangle. And I recommend putting your company name someplace on the design. So here we're just going to, let's say this is a fictitious company, Fresh Fans Academy. So I'm going to come over here to text. We have heading, subheading, and of course you have a lot of different text styles here that you can choose from, so you can have fun with those. I'll go through manually formatting your text in a moment. So we'll go ahead and click on subheading, and we'll just call it Fresh Fans Academy, bring it up, and you'll see it automatically centers, and we can just click until we're happy with the font size. So I'll bring it back down to 22. And then you can come over here to your uploads. Where is it? There it is. And upload your logo, of course. I'm going to go ahead and just pretend that this is our logo. I'm just copied it from here. It's a random icon from Canva. It's not an actual logo. So we'll go ahead and click and put that just like this. And when it comes to coloring and fonts, I like having no more than 2 or 3. So we'll go ahead and change this to a orange, just so it doesn't look too busy. And we could probably play with the colors a little bit, but that's okay. So it gives us our frame. So now we're ready for our headline here. So for our headline, I'll go ahead and click our headline, and I'm actually going to click it twice. And you'll sometimes figure out that you're actually going to want to use multiple text boxes, even though it's the same kind of text element, if it's the same headline or same paragraph, because you want to format things correctly. So you see we have how to hire a virtual assistant. So I'll go ahead and speed this up. And then what I'm going to do is I will come up here, I will select the element, and then we can just go ahead, copy and paste. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to stagger the text. So we have how to hire a, and then virtual assistant is going to be the next line. So I'll delete that. and then I'll come up here and delete that. And now we have our 2 lines. So I'm going to hold Shift while I select both of these, and then we can bring the font size up as much as we want, or we could just click down here and select what we want. We'll bring that up to 104. Of course, now it's all messed up. So all we have to do is click and drag until it makes a little more sense. And then we can change the alignment. So I'm going to align it to the left, and you'll find this sometimes. You'll click on something and you go, why is it dragging? Because Canva automatically selected it for you. And then we can go ahead and click and drag. So I will zoom ahead until when we are done aligning all these things, and of course changing the spacing. And now that I'm happy with the font spacing and the font size, of course it took a little longer to get it right, and you'll click and drag, play around with it a lot. That's why I didn't waste time here. You can also play with the spacing in between the letters and the spacing in between the lines. So there's a lot of options here. So we'll come over here to effects now, and we can do a lift. We can make it neon, which makes it a little hard to read. So I'll just come over here and drop a little shadow, and you can actually change the transparency of the shadow, play with the blur, offset, and whatnot. So we'll just go ahead and leave it like that. It won't be an exact copy, but of course you can go ahead and play with the text size and spacing as well. So we're going to add one more line of text here, and we're going to follow the same format we did for this box. So I'm just going to copy paste, or you could hit Control D or Command D, and that just duplicates the element. So we'll go ahead and get the color to, of course, white is not already here. So we'll go ahead and just bring the color over to white. There we go. And we'll come back and add some text, some subtext, and we'll say the ultimate template. And of course, if we did white on white, we wouldn't be able to see anything. So we'll come over here to colors, and we will choose our orange, and I'll go ahead and leave it a different font. So we'll have one font for the headline and one font for the sub headline here. And I'll just bring this up to, let's try 36. That looks close enough. We will bold it. And now that our text is the right color, we can click and drag it, center it. Now, actually, I want to make these 2 elements the same. So I'm going to go ahead and center the text. So it's the text box is a little smaller than the background, the white one, and then we'll click on the white one. Yeah, the white square, so rectangle. So we'll click on the white rectangle, and then we'll hold Shift, and we'll click on the text. And now we're selecting both of those, and we can come up here to the right-hand corner and click on Group. And now that they're grouped together, we can click and drag and make it bigger and smaller, and they will stay the same ratio. So we'll go and click and drag. And that's all there is to it, to creating your background and of course adding your text. So now let's spruce this up with some icons. Now this is where the free plan and the pro plan really comes into effect, because obviously you have a lot more options with the pro plan versus the free one. So I'm going to start by adding our laptop in the bottom here. This is one of my favorite things to do. So all we need to do is come back up to Elements, and then we will search for a laptop. And our laptop that allows you to drop an image in should pop up. There it is. It's actually the first 2 results. So you want to look for something that has an image that looks like this with the hills. I guess those aren't mountains. The hills and the clouds in the background. So we can go and click and drag, bring that down to the bottom here. And then we can make it a little bit bigger. And now we can actually drop an image in here. So we can drop one of our own images, or we can come up here to the search again. And this time, and by the way, this laptop image is free. So let's go ahead and search We're Hiring. Oops, We're Hiring. Obviously, I'm cheating a little bit because I went ahead and did research ahead of time. That way you don't have to watch me click and figure out what might work. And let's see, this one is a pro image. These are all pro. So you're seeing that a lot of these are pro. Okay, so what we can do, I'll click and drag this because we are using a pro account. So I'll go ahead and click and drag that. But if it's frustrating, you're like, I'm using the free plan, what the heck? You can come over here to availability, click on free, and apply filters. And now we are only looking at the free ones. And instead of getting We're Hiring, we have a bunch of We're Closed. So maybe this one might actually work. So we can click and drag and bring that one in as well. So we'll go ahead and use that. That way we're using all free elements. But you'll notice that sometimes you'll see where we're hiring had a ton of ones on the pro plan, and then the free one, we didn't really have much of anything. And now we have we work logos, which really doesn't match. So the next thing we're going to want to do is add some of these icons. Now, just to point out, they do have these animations, and of course this is going to be a PDF, so it's not really going to matter. So to find even more graphics that might be helpful, let's just say hiring and see what pops up. And we are still filtering by free. So everything that we're looking at here, you can get on the free plan. So we can go ahead and grab this guy running with a briefcase. We could throw him up here. You'll notice these graphics are different than the ones on the example. And of course you can spend a lot of time going through all of these. So we could say something like that. And then actually, just to save us some time, let's go ahead and center these as well. Probably not going to win a design award here, but at least you have an example of what you can do with a, there we go, nice and centered, with a cover for your lead magnet. Maybe we just want to grab this image and put it in the bottom corner right there. All right, there we go. So of course, we could play a lot more with this. The only other thing I want to point out before we move on to the actual content pages is when you click on the image, you can actually come up here to filter, and you can actually change the way the image looks. So you do have quite a few options inside of Canva when it comes to how the images look. So we could try and get something that's gives it a little bit of an orange tint, so it works well. And I'll go ahead and just leave it at retro. So that looks nice, but it blends in a little too much with the blue background. So let's just go ahead and leave it at Nordic, and that should be good enough. So that does it for your title page. And when it comes to the actual internal pages of your lead magnet, luckily this is going to be the easy part. So we'll go ahead and scroll down. You can see we have some examples. Now, before we get into all of this formatting, because this is going to take a while, I'm going to breeze through it and just show you how you can do it on your own, because it is going to take a while. I do recommend having all of your text and information in a basic Google Doc or Word doc. So as an example, this is what our Google Doc looks like, and we've already written out everything that we wanted, and we have a general understanding of what we want in terms of tables and text and fill-ins and drop-downs. We'll get to fill-ins and drop-downs when we get to another tool where you can actually allow people to check these boxes and enter information into your lead magnet. But I definitely recommend having this. And of course, if you're making anything for Amazon Kindle, not that you're going to make an ebook as a lead magnet here, then I highly recommend using Google Docs. You can go File, Download, and you can actually download your Google Docs as an EPUB. So if you are doing anything with Amazon Kindle, you should have all of your text and images in this document. So make things in Canva, drop them in here, and then export as EPUB. Don't format things in Canva, because Canva and Amazon Kindle just don't work together. Canva's not designed to export as EPUB. So I'll get off that soapbox. So let's go ahead and jump back over to our design here. And I'm going to add a blank page so we can build it from scratch. Now, the first thing you want to do is create some sort of frame. So use some rectangles and triangles, and you'll have a frame, and essentially you want something at the top and the bottom, something for a word count, and then something to include your logo and a link to your website. So as you can see here, we just did super basic, 2 bars. There's a page counter, and you have to manually do that, by the way, and then our logo again and our site. So we'll go ahead and click to copy our logo, and I'll do a different design just so you can see how it can play out. So let's go back over to elements. I'm going to X on hiring so we can go to our shapes here, and I will choose a rectangle, triangle. That's a triangle. It's a triangle this time. And the first thing I'm going to do is come up to transparency and bring it down to about 65. There we go, 65. And then we can rotate it a little bit. What we can do is first make it a little smaller, and then we will put it in the top corner so it goes just like this, and then we'll need to bring up the size a little bit just so it actually comes out right. And This is actually really frustrating, but there we go. Okay, so this is going to be where we put our page number. And then on the bottom, we'll just go ahead and put a bar. So we'll change this to our orange, and we will click and drag, make it flush with the bottom, and then we can just drag it down to about there. That looks good enough. It's probably too thick. Yes, it is. So we'll bring it down a little bit more. And then what you want to do down here is, of course, put your logo, which I've copied, and then go ahead and put a link to your website. So we can come back over here to text, and we'll do heading for the first one, and this is going to be page number 1. And we can go ahead and make this, let's make this orange. So we'll make this orange, we will bold it, and then we will begrudgingly click, oh my gosh, come on, there we go. Now we can select it. Bring it up here and make it a little bigger. And that is hard to read. So let's go ahead and try white. And that is a lot easier to read. So we'll go ahead and leave that. So we have our page number here, and we'll go ahead and add a subheading again and www dot, and then whatever your domain is. And you want to type out the full URL so that people know that they can actually click on it. So we will unselect it so we can actually click and drag it, bringing it down to the bottom. We'll go ahead and change the text to white again so it's nice and easy to read. And then we can come up, once we're done with that, we can come up here to the 3 little dots, or if you're on a bigger screen, you'll be able to see this and click on link. So once we do, we can type in the actual URL of wherever we want people to go. And this will apply to the button at the end of your lead magnet as well. And this is just something nice where you can have calls to action throughout your lead magnet to get people back to your sales message or check out some other content. And that's why you want the full URL so people know that they can actually click on it. So we'll go ahead and leave that alone for now. And that gives us our frame. Looks like there's a little bit of white space up there, but perfection is rarely rewarded. So now let's go ahead and talk about how do we get all this text onto Canva. And this is the most tedious part of the process because the answer is copy and paste individually. As you can see here, each one of these is a separate text box. And that's what you're going to have to do when you're bringing text into Canva. It really does take a while, but I recommend bringing in all your text first and then go ahead and actually start formatting and adding some graphics. So I'll do this 2 times. Don't worry, we're not going to do this for every single page here. So I'll jump over to our lead magnet. We already have our title page here. And let's just say this is going to be our title, and this is going to be our subtitle. So we'll go ahead and drop in our title here. I should have clicked title heading, and then we're going to jump back over and copy our text. And yes, it is as time consuming as it looks. And we'll just go ahead and do 2 more. Don't worry, we're not gonna copy and paste this entire document. We'd be here all day. So I'll go ahead and, oops, wrong tab. One more, and we have our bullet points here. So let's go ahead and grab our bullet points. So we'll go ahead and grab those and bring them in. And this is all of our text. So now what you want to do, let's say this is all the text you need on the page. You'd of course go ahead and start formatting all this, clicking and dragging and bringing it up to where it needs to be. Now, to save us some time and not bore the heck out of you, we'll go ahead and just speed this up until when everything's formatted.
1 hour later.
And through the magic of editing, wouldn't it be nice if real life could work that way sometimes? Just montage it or get it done real quick. Let's go ahead and talk about what we did. So all we did here was change the font styles and font sizes, bolded some things, and then if you want to do a checklist, something that you're not going to be able to do in Canva is create these checklists with just text. And so what we did is we went and looked up a check mark icon, and then we changed it to orange, and we lined it up with all of the text here. So these are actually individual checkmark elements that we clicked and dragged and lined them up. So now let's go ahead and add a little bit of design to our page. So we will come over here to elements, and let's just search checklist, see what we get. And of course, we will come up here and click on free. So we're only seeing the stuff that we can actually use. And there's a clipboard. So let's try this clipboard. We'll go ahead, and it thinks that it wants to be in the back. So here's a good case study. So this is putting everything behind the text. Obviously we don't want this. So we can come up here to position, and click on forward. So now it's in the front. We can easily click and drag, make it a little smaller, and put it right next to our text here. And in our example, we had a picture of a VA, so let's just see what we get when we type in VA. And jumping ahead here, VA just gave us a bunch of military people, so wrong VA. And then we'll go ahead and click on graphics. So we're only looking at graphics, and we'll filter again by free. So we'll filter by free. And as we'll see, that pretty much took out all of the designs that made any sense. So now let's try a different one, and this is just going to happen. Don't worry about spelling errors. It'll still figure out what you want. Let's just go ahead and type in worker and see if that gives us anything. So someone at a computer, if we scroll down here, I think someone at a computer is going to make the most sense, or we could go with this one. So I'm just going to go with the person working at a computer. Click and drag. And I think 2 to 3 icons per page is a good one to shoot for, where you are adding some kind of graphics and good elements to help break up the text. I think if you get more than 2 or 3, then it probably starts to look busy and actually isn't complementing the text. That's the word I was looking for. It's a good way to complement the text. So let's go ahead and scroll down here. I'm going to go through how to put together these. So if you want to have a place inside of your lead magnet where people can check the boxes, here's what you're going to want to do. So we'll go ahead and copy our page here, and I'm going to bring it down as if we're making page number 2 from scratch. So now we're going to make this page, and all you need to do is create a square element that it just has an outline, and then line it up with some text. So we'll go ahead and remove everything from the bottom, and we'll go ahead and drop in this image now, because you'll get similar. What I do like about it is you'll get similar images when you click on one, so that way your images can kind of be the same style or consistent throughout. And we'll just go ahead and change this to which platform. If you already understand how to format everything and you just want to know how to make drop-down menus, how to do all of the checkboxes in your finished PDF, then go ahead and jump to this timestamp where we start talking about PDF escape. So, or that timestamp if I'm still in the corner. All right, here we go. I always forget where I am. So here's what we're going to do. We'll come over here, and I'm going to save us some time. I'm just going to copy these, but I will do the actual boxes. So these are individual text elements, and then we'll come over here to elements. We'll click out, wait for it to load, and then we'll go into shapes, see all. And you actually need to select the shape. Come on, see all. That's what happens when you have a slow internet connection. That's awkward. Seriously.
One eternity later.
And once the page finally loads, or you have to refresh, we'll go ahead and come down here and click on this box. So you want the box that has nothing in it. You can't format these to only be a text outline. So we'll go ahead and click on this box, and of course we'll change the color to, let's just go blue this time. And then we will click and drag, make it nice and small. And then you're going to just have to play with the sizing. So you'll see here, Canva is really great at helping us center it. So we'll bring it down a little bit more, and then we will center it with our text. There we go. And then we can just go ahead and hit Control D or Command D and duplicate the element and bring it right down there, and do that one more time. Of course, copy paste works also. And just like that, when we get into PDF Escape, we'll be able to create checkboxes here. So which platform do you want to use? And there's one final formatting hurdle I want to point out, and that is if you want to create a table inside of Canva, the way that we put together this table, I'm going to copy paste it so you can see, copy and paste it onto our new one here, is we used this text element that you're looking at here, and then we just clicked and dragged them together like a bunch of Legos. So it is time consuming, but this is the best way we found to put together a table that looks something like this, if that's what you want to do with your lead magnet. And of course, the other thing that we can do is we can create actual spaces for people to fill in the blanks for our lead magnet. So let's say we have a question here, and this will be the second to last formatting thing we do before we get into the actual PDF escape part. We'll go ahead and click and drag this, and let's just say here we want them to enter another option. So we can just go ahead and say enter other option below. And then inside of PDF Escape, we'll be able to create it so that people can type in their own answers. Now, the very last thing to do before we jump into PDF Escape is to make a call to action button. So if we come down to our last page here, you see we have click here to watch. So of course, with our lead magnet, we want them to take some sort of action to continue the sales process. And so that's what a giant button that looks something like this can do. So I'll copy and paste it over here. And we're going to go ahead and build this from scratch, and then we'll go ahead and export everything. So the way I recommend creating a button is I actually used to have to do this in 2 separate elements, but now they have a single one. So we'll go ahead and click and drag, and I've selected this element right here, or this one right here that has a bit of a shadow. So we'll go ahead and change our button color to green, and nope, that's the shadow. There we go. Sometimes you have to click around it to figure out which one's which. All right, right. The last one I click is going to be, there we go. So now we need to go back and change the other colors so that we actually have a shadow. And if I click out, now you can see we kind of have 3 colors and it stands out a little bit more. I just like the way it looks. Of course, you can choose a totally different element. Again, in old tutorials, we had to do 2 different elements to do this. So I'm really happy that they have one. And then we want to create a call to action, and the call to action needs to say click here, because most people are not going to be ready to click, or they don't know that they can actually click. So I'm saying clear instead of click. So we'll say click here to learn more, and I will click and drag that element down, and we want to make this a whole lot bigger. So instead of playing with the font, we can just click and drag and bring it so that it's the same width. It's not going to be the same height. And then we can make sure that it's centered on the actual element that we care about. And Canva is not really cooperating right now, but that's okay. And give us the center. Okay, well, that's the, there we go. I think that's centered enough. It kept centering it based on the shadow, not the dark green part. So we'll go ahead and bold this. We'll change this to white, and then of course we could come over here to effects, and we could give it some effects that makes it really hard to read, but let's go ahead and say we just add a little bit of lift to it. And once we have it centered the way we want, we'll go ahead and select both elements and we will group them. So we'll come up and group them together again. So that's in the top right hand corner, and then you'll need to click on the text itself. Click on the 3 little buttons, or if you're not zoomed in like I am, you'll just click on the link icon and then go ahead and put in the link of your sales page, your strategy call page, whatever the next step in your sales process is. And that's all there is to it, to designing a lead magnet with Canva. So now let's go ahead and export this as a PDF, and we'll jump into another tool called PDF Escape that will allow us to create editable fields and drop downs and check marks. So to export our design, to export the design, we'll come up here to download, and we're going to leave it at PDF for print, and then we can go ahead and select the pages we want. Now, I'm not going to select all the pages because during our building here, we had some pages that we don't actually want to include. So we'll just go ahead and select the pages that we did not just make so that we have a fully functional lead magnet here. I think those are the right ones. And we'll go ahead and click on done, and then we will download. You may get a message if you want to print it out. Of course, we do not. So we're going to open up a new tab here and go to pdfescape.com. And this is just a free tool that you can use for creating those editable fields and drop downs. So we can just click and drag what we just downloaded, drop it in here, and it'll take a couple seconds. We'll be able to start editing our PDF. And once it loads, we'll go ahead and X this out so we can zoom in a little more. Let's go ahead and go down to a page where we want people to be able to enter information and have a checkbox, and we also have a drop down. So we'll do all 3 of those right here. So all you need to do is click on form field. And if you're using the free version, even if you create a free account, this is only going to save for 48 hours. So please only do this when you're 100% ready to go. You've spell checked everything and you know that you don't have to make any edits. And what we're going to do is click on checkbox here. So we'll go ahead and select checkbox, and then we can click and drag and make a bunch of checkboxes. So we'll click and drag, And once we are done, when someone else downloads this PDF, they'll be able to check and uncheck certain things. And of course, when we save it, we can save it with some things already checked, although I'll go ahead and uncheck all of these. And you can be way more OCD than I am about making sure that it's actually within the lines. So once you're done with this particular element, if you try and click someplace else, it's going to make another one. So what you'll want to do is click on this yellow bar at the top, click to disable, and now you can safely click without messing up the icons. So I'm just going to go ahead and click here, and that way when we save it and export it, nothing is automatically clicked. That's all there is to it. With the checkboxes, you can actually also right click to select them, and you can also duplicate the object. So if you're making multiple drop downs menus and you don't want to do the same thing over and over again, you can go ahead and use that. And that does it for the check marks. So now let's go ahead and come down to our drop down here. So we'll go ahead and do our drop down right here. We'll click on form field again, go to text and change it to drop down, click on select. We will click and drag, and I'll show you how to create those elements in a the options in a second. Again, if we click someplace else, it's going to make another drop down. So we just need to click to disable. We'll select our drop down menu, and now we can click on this little wrench icon at the top. And we have some options in terms of allowing people to add their own custom and how we want to sort them. And of course, we can give this a name. So we'll go ahead and call it freelancer type or hire type. And then we'll go back over to our document here, and you can see we have part-time, full-time, and freelancer. Now we actually don't need any of the commas. So we'll go ahead, remove the commas, and then make each one its own line. And we'll go ahead and click on OK. And now when someone does a drop down, they'll be able to select part-time, full-time, freelancer. You'll see I forgot a comma there. And then the last thing we want to do here is create a text box where someone can enter in their own information. So we can go ahead and click on form field again, and we're going to select text paragraph. Text paragraph allows people to hit enter. Text is just if it's literally one line, and that's it. So we'll go ahead and click on select here. Yes, we do. We want that. And we will click and drag it over, and just like that, we have a text box. So of course, you can go through the rest of your PDF. You can even add more links if you want. And with this, I think we're good to go. So let's go ahead and just download it so you can see what it looks like once it's all done. Now, if someone is having trouble with this file, as in you give it to someone, they download it and they say, oh, I can't edit it, it's not working. It has to do with the software they're using to open the file. It's not the file itself. So if I go ahead and open this, I'm using Chrome right now. You'll see the Chrome browser is actually going to allow us to do the check boxes. So we can do the check boxes. We can click on the drop down, and we can enter in all of the text that we want into this PDF. Now, if someone's using a desktop PDF viewer, then they're actually going to be able to more safely save this information. So probably if you have something like this, do include a little bit of instructions telling people that they can edit the PDF once they download it. Just make sure that they actually save all of their changes, because if they're in a Chrome preview like this, it's probably not going to save. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. Most importantly, you're ready to go creating your lead magnets with Canva and PDF Escape if you want to allow people to interact with your lead magnet. So comment below with your list building and lead magnet questions. Hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive marketing videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.